Hello, welcome to my channel, Leah Decodes. Most men never realize this. Desire is decided long before hands ever meet. If you feel invisible, it's not because you're unattractive. It's because you're silent in the language that turns her on. I'm going to speak to you like a mentor because nobody warned you about this. Women don't respond to pressure, tricks, or lines. They respond to emotional safety mixed with mystery. The moment you stop trying to impress and start controlling your inner state, everything shifts. Attraction begins inside her mind, not on your body. Touch is the final chapter, not the opening sentence. A woman feels turned on when she feels seen without being chased. When your energy says, I choose you, instead of please choose me, her nervous system relaxes. That relaxation is what opens curiosity. Curiosity becomes desire. Most men rush straight to validation-seeking behavior, and they accidentally trigger resistance. You don't need to do more. You need to leak less need. Think about how you enter a room. Are you scanning faces, hoping someone notices you? Or are you grounded, breathing slowly, aware of yourself first? Women subconsciously read this within seconds. A calm man signals options. Options signal value. Value creates tension. Tension is arousal without a single touch. Your voice matters more than your words. Slow it down. Drop it slightly. Speak as if time is on your side. When you pause instead of filling silence, her imagination starts working for you. Silence is not awkward when it's intentional. It becomes space, and space is where desire grows. Eye contact is not staring. It's allowing her to feel acknowledged without being consumed. Hold eye contact, then look away first. That tells her you're present, but not hungry. Hunger kills polarity. Restraint fuels it. You're not withdrawing. You're pacing the interaction like music. Emotionally, women are turned on by direction, not dominance, not control. Direction. Know where you're going in life and let that certainty leak into small moments. When you listen, listen fully. When you speak, speak cleanly. No over-explaining, no proving. The less you justify yourself, the more grounded you appear. Here's the truth most men resist. She doesn't want you to perform confidence. She wants to feel safe inside your certainty. That safety gives her permission to feel. Feeling is foreplay. When you stay centered, playful, and slightly unpredictable, her body responds before her logic catches up. This is how attraction begins without touch. You're not seducing her body, you're inviting her nervous system to dance with yours. And when that happens, everything else becomes effortless. You don't need approval to be attractive, and you don't need permission to slow the pace. When you stop negotiating your worth, your presence becomes heavier. Heavier presence is felt as confidence, not arrogance. It invites her to lean in emotionally because she senses structure. Structure allows play. Play awakens desire. Stay curious about her world without trying to enter it too fast. Let her invest through words, laughter, and shared pauses. When you hold your frame gently, she mirrors it. This is influence without force, intimacy without touch, and tension without anxiety. Master this inner discipline, and you'll notice women responding differently before you ever make a move. Carry this awareness into every interaction, and watch how attraction forms steadily and powerfully when you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying calm, clarity, presence, patience, and purpose. Here's what almost no one tells you. The fastest way to turn a woman off is trying to turn her on. Desire collapses the moment it feels manufactured. Women are wired to sense intention beneath behavior. And when your intention is outcome-driven, her body closes before her mind explains why. This isn't rejection of you. It's protection of her emotional boundaries. A woman becomes aroused when she feels emotionally understood without being psychologically cornered. That means you stop interrogating her with questions designed to impress. Instead, You listen for emotional themes. When she speaks, don't just hear facts. Notice what excites her, what frustrates her, what softens her voice. Then reflect that back calmly without judgment. Feeling understood is more intimate than being touched. The mistake most men make is over-validating. Compliments thrown too early feel cheap. Praise without standards feels empty. What creates attraction is selective appreciation. When you acknowledge something specific about her mindset or values, not her looks, you signal discernment. Discernment implies choice. Choice implies power. Power, when calm, is magnetic. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Unpredictability, when grounded, is erotic. If you always respond instantly, always agree, always accommodate, you become emotionally flat. Women don't crave chaos. They crave contrast. Contrast between certainty and curiosity, between strength and softness, between presence and space. You create that contrast by having a life that doesn't orbit her reactions. Emotional pacing is everything. If she shares something personal, don't rush to fix it. Sit with it. Let her feel heard. When you're not trying to rescue or impress, she feels safe enough to drop her guard. That vulnerability isn't weakness. It's trust. And trust is the gateway to desire. Humor matters, but not forced jokes. Dry, situational humor signals intelligence and confidence. Laugh at moments, not at yourself for approval. When you tease lightly, never cruy, you create emotional tension. Tension is what keeps her mind engaged. Long after the conversation ends, she replays it, wondering what you meant, why it felt different. That lingering curiosity is arousal delayed. Your boundaries are foreplay. When you say no calmly, when you don't bend instantly, when you respect your own time, you teach her how to treat you. Boundaries create polarity. Polarity creates chemistry. Chemistry isn't about sparks. It's about difference held with respect. Here's the deeper layer. Women are turned on by men who are emotionally congruent. Your words, tone, posture, and pace must align. If you say you're confident, but your body fidgets, the message collapses. Slow movements, relaxed shoulders, controlled gestures. These communicate safety and strength without saying a word. And never underestimate the power of walking away mentally, not disappearing, not punishing, but releasing attachment to outcome. When you're okay whether she likes you or not, your energy changes. It becomes lighter, playful, grounded. That's when she leans in, not because you chased, but because you stopped pulling. This is how you turn her on without touching her. By creating an emotional environment where her nervous system feels both safe and stimulated. When she feels that attraction isn't forced, it's inevitable. What truly turns a woman on is not what you do. It's who she feels she becomes around you. Most men focus outward, trying to manufacture attraction through strategy. The men who quietly win understand something deeper. Desire grows when her identity feels expanded in your presence. When she feels more alive, more feminine, more expressive, more herself, her body responds naturally. This begins with emotional leadership, not telling her what to think, not overpowering her, but holding a steady emotional center when hers fluctuates. When she's excited, you stay grounded. When she's uncertain, you stay calm. When she tests, you don't react emotionally. You respond with composure. That steadiness communicates strength without aggression. Her nervous system reads it as safety. Safety allows surrender, not submission, but relaxation. Relaxation is where arousal lives. A woman is turned on when she feels emotionally held, not emotionally chased. That means you don't rush intimacy. You let moments breathe. You allow conversations to deepen naturally instead of forcing vulnerability. When she opens up, you don't reward it with instant attachment. You receive it with warmth and stability. This tells her she can trust you with her inner world without losing respect. Pay attention to how you tell stories. Men who turn women on without touch speak in images, not explanations. They describe experiences, emotions, lessons. They let her imagination do the work. Imagination is far more powerful than logic when it comes to desire. When she starts picturing moments with you, laughing, learning, growing, her body is already responding. Here's a critical truth. Women are deeply turned on by men who are comfortable with their own depth. If you avoid serious topics out of fear of being boring, you signal insecurity. Depth doesn't mean heavy or dramatic. It means honesty. Talk about what you've learned from failure. Share insights, not complaints. Reflection shows maturity. Maturity creates attraction that lasts beyond novelty. Another overlooked element is emotional restraint. You don't need to reveal everything at once. Mystery isn't manipulation. It's pacing. When you reveal yourself gradually, she invests curiosity. Curiosity becomes emotional tension. Emotional tension becomes desire. Oversharing too soon collapses polarity. Let connection unfold like chapters, not a confession dump. Your presence should feel like an invitation, not a demand. When you ask questions, ask them to understand, not to qualify yourself. When you compliment, let it be grounded and specific. When you disagree, do it respectfully without softening your truth. Authentic disagreement creates polarity. Polarity is felt as chemistry. And understand this, women are turned on by men who don't need them to complete their emotional world. When your life is full, purpose, discipline, direction, your attention becomes valuable. You're not withholding it, you're simply not desperate with it. That calm abundance is deeply attractive. Even your emotional reactions matter. When something doesn't go your way, how do you respond? Calm resilience signals masculine stability. Emotional volatility signals unpredictability. Predictability kills desire, but instability kills safety. The balance is consistency with edge. Grounded but alive. This is how you turn her on without touching her. You become a space where she feels free, stimulated, and secure all at once. When that happens, attraction isn't something you initiate. It's something she feels herself falling into quietly, powerfully, and willingly. There is a moment in every interaction where attraction either deepens or dies. And most men miss it because they're looking for permission instead of presence. This moment happens when emotion rises slightly, when there's a pause, a look, a shared laugh, or a subtle shift in energy. What you do there determines everything. If you rush to secure the outcome, tension collapses. If you stay grounded, tension intensifies. Women are turned on by men who are comfortable holding emotional heat without immediately acting on it. This is restraint, not hesitation. Restraint communicates self-control. Self-control signals power. Power, when calm, feels safe. And safety mixed with tension is intoxicating. You don't escalate attraction by pushing forward. You do it by staying centered when the connection naturally leans closer. When she shares something meaningful, you don't rush to label the connection. You let it exist. When she flirts, you don't overreact. You receive it with ease. That ease tells her you've been here before, not because you're arrogant, but because you're emotionally experienced. One of the strongest turn-ons is emotional permission. When a woman feels she doesn't have to perform, impress, or protect herself around you, her guard lowers. You give that permission by not judging her moods, not correcting her feelings, and not needing her to be consistent. You allow her to be human while you remain steady. That contrast creates polarity. Your reactions matter more than your actions. If she pulls back slightly, do you panic? If she tests you, do you explain yourself? Every time you chase clarity, you weaken tension. Every time you remain relaxed in uncertainty, you strengthen it. Women don't test to reject you. They test to see if your frame holds under pressure. Calm responses pass the test without effort. A woman becomes deeply aroused when she feels chosen, not needed. That means you enjoy her presence, but don't cling to it. You're warm without being dependent, interested without being invested too early. This balance is rare, and rarity is attractive. Even how you end interactions matters. Leaving first, gently and confidently, signals abundance, not because you're playing games, but because your life is full. When you exit on a high note, you leave emotional residue. She feels the absence, not because you disappeared, but because the interaction felt incomplete in the right way. Incompleteness invites pursuit. Your emotional discipline is what separates fascination from familiarity. Familiarity without depth breeds boredom. Fascination comes from knowing there's more to discover. You don't create this by hiding yourself. You create it by unfolding yourself slowly. And understand this. Women are incredibly sensitive to emotional congruence. If you say you're relaxed but you're internally anxious, she feels it. If you say you're confident but you're seeking reassurance, she senses the mismatch. True attraction happens when your internal state matches your external behavior. Alignment is seductive. You don't need dominance. You need clarity. You don't need control. You need calm. When your nervous system is regulated, hers mirrors it. When she feels regulated, her body opens to sensation, curiosity, and desire. This is the layer most men never reach. They focus on tactics and miss presence. Presence is what turns her on before touch, before words, before intention is ever spoken. When you master this, attraction stops feeling like something you chase. It becomes something that forms naturally around you. Quiet, intense, and undeniable. Everything you've heard so far leads to one final truth most men avoid. Attraction is not something you activate in her. It's something you stop blocking in yourself. When you remove need, fear, and performance, what remains is presence. Presence is felt, and what is felt is remembered. A woman doesn't wake up one day turned on by a man because of a single interaction. She feels drawn because over time he made her feel something rare. Calm excitement, not chaos, not anxiety. Calm excitement. That emotional state is addictive because it's unfamiliar to most people. You become memorable not by intensity, but by consistency of energy. When you fully accept yourself, your pace, your standards, your boundaries, you stop seeking permission to exist. That self-acceptance changes how you walk, how you speak, how you listen. It creates gravity. Gravity doesn't pull by effort. It pulls by being. At this level, you no longer worry about saying the right thing. You focus on being real. Authenticity isn't blurting out everything you feel. It's not pretending to be something you're not. When your words align with your values, your silence aligns with confidence. Silence used well is one of the strongest psychological turn-ons. You also stop fearing loss. When you're okay with walking away from what doesn't align, your attention becomes clean. Clean attention feels respectful, grounded, and powerful. A woman feels chosen, not hunted. That distinction changes everything. Here's the quiet secret. Women don't want men who are perfect. They want men who are self-directed. Direction gives structure. Structure allows her to relax into her feminine energy. When she relaxes, desire flows without effort. You didn't force it. You allowed it. Attraction deepens when you stay curious but unattached, when you enjoy the moment without trying to own the future, when you let connection build naturally instead of locking it down with labels and expectations. This patience isn't passive. It's confident. And when the moment finally comes where touch is possible, it feels inevitable, not rushed, natural, not negotiated, because her mind arrived there long before her body did. That's the difference between chemistry and consent-driven desire. One is logical, the other is felt. Most men never reach this point because they're chasing reactions instead of cultivating presence. But once you understand this, dating stops feeling exhausting. Conversations stop feeling forced. Rejection stops feeling personal. You're no longer trying to turn women on. You're allowing the right ones to respond to who you already are. This isn't manipulation, it's mastery of self. And self-mastery is the most attractive trait there is. So here's the question. I want you to answer honestly in the comments. What is one habit or mindset you know is blocking your presence? And are you willing to let it go? If this message resonated with you like the video, subscribe for more deep truths on attraction and self-mastery, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it, because most men never get taught this and it changes.